Beneath the dusty tumbleweeds and the crack of gunfire, the American Wild West of the mid to late 1800s harbored a different kind of vice, found within the gilded doors of bustling brothels and the coy smiles of cunning madames. In a time marked by lawlessness and opportunism, these houses of ill repute carved out a notorious niche in the heart of the frontier. As the flicker of gas lanterns danced across the faces of weary cowboys, miners, and outlaws alike, the siren call of these establishments echoed far and wide. Figures like Julia Bulette, the esteemed Madame of Virginia City, and Pearl de Vere, the soiled dove of Cripple Creek, presided over these dens of decadence, forever etching their names in the annals of American law. But who were these women who ran these businesses with iron fists cloaked in velvet gloves? What were the stories behind their clientele? And what role did these establishments play in the evolution of the Wild West?
Prostitution was incredibly widespread. In the Wild West, there were an abundance of men and a scarcity of women, which led to prostitution becoming a prevalent way to satisfy the demand for companionship. Even though it was against the law, you could find prostitutes in nearly every town. There were madams who managed brothels, sophisticated courtesans who catered to wealthy patrons, and streetwalkers who earned their living in the dimly lit corners of the towns. Interestingly, some of these prostitutes and madams not only played significant roles in the lives of many, but also inspired tales that achieved legendary status in the folklore of the Wild West. Homosexuality in the Wild West had a unique and surprisingly open acceptance. It wasn't a matter of concern or controversy. In communities of miners and cowboys, forming close same-sex relationships, sometimes referred to as bachelor marriages, was a common response to the scarcity of women. Men in the Wild West saw no shame in seeking comfort and companionship in one another when it came to romantic connections. In fact, it was quite pragmatic. During their social gatherings and dances, it was not uncommon for half of the men to wear white bandages on their arms, signaling their willingness to assume the more feminine role. In some old Wild West songs, you can even find lyrics about young men adopting women's names. Additionally, sharing sleeping quarters with fellow men was customary in cowboy communities, and younger cowboys often provided support to their older counterparts, fostering bonds that extended beyond just friendship.
In the unforgiving landscape of the Wild West, where grit and tenacity were as essential as air and water, a select group of women, known as madams, etched their names in the sands of time. These women, often misrepresented in history, helmed the houses of evening entertainment, serving as both business proprietors and guardians of the ladies of the night. Three madams who left an indelible mark on the history of the Wild West were Pearl de Vere, Julia Bulette, and Mattie Silks. Pearl de Vere, famously known as the Soiled Dove of Cripple Creek, arrived in Colorado during the gold rush in the late 19th century. Pearl, a woman of refined tastes, spared no expense in creating an opulent establishment, her grand parlor fondly named the Old Homestead. Offering elegant courtship experiences for the wealthy men of the mining town, Pearl became an embodiment of the luxurious and extravagant side of the Wild West. Her untimely demise in 1897, due to an overdose of a sleep-inducing medication, stunned the town, marking a poignant end to her reign as the Queen of Cripple Creek. Julia Bulette, the Queen of Virginia City, carved a name for herself in Nevada in the 1860s. Known for her generosity and kindness, Julia ran a renowned establishment where miners found a home away from home. Despite the turbulent nature of her business, she earned respect from the community, even becoming an honorary member of the local firefighters brigade, an unusual honor for a woman of her profession. Her tragic end in 1867, at the hands of a burglar, shocked Virginia City, with the town declaring a day of mourning in her memory. Mattie Silks, a name that echoes in the chronicles of Denver, Colorado, ran a prosperous business in the 1870s and 80s. Mattie, famed for her shrewd business acumen, owned numerous establishments, earning her substantial wealth. She was also known for her rivalry with another madam, Katie Fulton, which culminated in a public showdown in 1877. Interestingly, both women survived, and their rivalry became the stuff of legends. Mattie was quoted as saying, "I went into the sporting life for business reasons and for no other. It was a way for a woman in those days to make money, and I made it." These three madams were figures of influence, power, and resilience. They navigated a world dominated by men, crafting their destinies amidst adversities. Their establishments offered a refuge for the ladies of the night, providing them a degree of protection and an opportunity to make a living. Pearl, Julia, and Mattie, each in their own right, contributed to the rich tapestry of the Wild West. They weren't just madams, they were astute businesswomen, influential figures, and in many ways, the unsung heroines of their time. Their establishments were part of the lifeblood of the frontier towns, serving as important social centers. Whether it was a miner seeking companionship after a hard day's work, or a cowboy looking for diversion after a long cattle drive, these houses of evening entertainment filled a crucial role in the burgeoning communities. To quote an old Western saying, "There's gold, and then there's liquid gold." This referred to the wealth that flowed within the saloons and brothels of the Wild West, as much a part of the economic lifeblood of these frontier communities as the precious metal itself.